Hey, come a little closer. Little bit closer. I have a secret to tell you, but you can't tell anyone. Okay, here goes. The Incan Empire? It wasn't actually that powerful.
Quiet, you coward! Nothing is more powerful than the Incan Empire!
Today, we'll be looking at Inca 2, also known as Inca 2 Nations of Immortality, or Inca 2 Wiracocha. Yes, there's a prequel, but I don't care about the first one. I care about this one because it's so awful. Developed by Cocktail Vision and published by Sierra Entertainment, the adventure game gods, this one both enhanced and ruined my childhood. I have 2 discs of this darn game for some reason. Let's just take a look at this piece of work and see where it takes us. So you boot it up, the really fancy Cocktail Vision logo flies in, and so does the Inca 2 logo with a mighty... Then we get the first menu with its fine music. But I want to play the game. Here we go!
Machu Picchu, capital of the Incan Empire.
You're put in the role of Atahualpa, son of El Dorado, the great Inca and leader of the Incan Empire. And let me just say, he has the greatest voice actor in the history of voiceovers.
I was waiting for you, Atahualpa. Are you ready for your initiation? Hello, guard of the Wirachico!
Oh man, is he vying for power in the Incan Empire, or just working in a New York deli? And I don't even want to get into that lip-syncing work. Anyway, he has to complete a test in order to be considered worthy of joining the high and mighty Council of the Wise Men. And he passes by pouring water into creepy heads. He also grabs the feather off the guard's head and says,
"It's not much of a clue."
Yeah, but eventually he succeeds and exclaims,
El Dorado! I've succeeded!
And walks out. His dad tells him he is worthy of joining the council, as he looks on uninterested. The council is worried about an asteroid headed towards them. El Dorado shows off footage from their probe. Yeah, the Incan Empire has a space probe. Okay. And then they listen to Celt Cartier, who has come back from an intelligence mission, and then he tells what the big problem at hand is.
Thank you, El Dorado. Oh, great Inca. The forces of the ancient lands have taken on control of the asteroid. The mastermind of the operation is no other than Lord Aguirre. He wants to scramble all communications between the territories of the Empire. He wants to enslave the entire Empire.
What a snappy dresser. But Atahualpa isn't having any of this crap. He says,
And what is it you suggest, stranger?
Celt Cartier claims that the asteroid is more powerful than the Incan Empire, and Atahualpa ain't having none of that either.
Quiet, you coward! Nothing is more powerful than the Incan Empire!
El Dorado isn't too pleased and says,
Leave immediately.
Atahualpa leaves in fury, but Donna Angelina lifts his spirits and advises the young lad to take action himself.
You've convinced me! My anger is great, but it will increase my strength. I will become the hero of the Empire!
Nicolas Cage here is going to be a hero, but first he needs to handle the guard watching over the spaceship, the Toomey, so he sets up a trap and knocks out the guard with a big log, then flies off into space. The evil Lord Aguirre doesn't like having strange vessels in his vicinity, so he sends out fighters to kill Atahualpa. We get some Star Trek-y cinematics, and then we enter space fighting mode, which is absolutely atrocious, and the least enjoyable part of the game by far. Not only do you have very limited weapons that actually do any viable damage, but the aiming is terrible and too many ships hide so far in the distance you can't hit them. It's not so bad with a couple of enemies, but there's a mission later on with 25 of those things. What a nuisance. Failing stinks. In the middle of the battle, El Dorado gets a tongue lashing by his wife. Still,
I'm furious. He forces me to act without knowing where we are headed.
Atahualpa makes mincemeat out of the fighters, but he is eventually roped in by his dad and called an idiot.
You idiot!
And also, by getting into battle, Atahualpa has inadvertently declared war on Lord Aguirre, which was what he wanted, but it's not a good idea. Aguirre pops up on Celt's monitor and rambles on.
Some cowards have attacked one of our space border outposts. It's an intolerable violation of our territory. They must be punished.
Then he opens his coat for some reason. El Dorado and Kelt go to fight and tell Atahualpa to not touch anything. But of course he doesn't learn. Instead, he disables Kelt's alarm system and finds a way to get that ship moving. How? By fueling the darn thing with vodka.
Wow! Enough to perk up the spirits of a whole army battalion.
He then goes out to fight, only to be overwhelmed and blown to bits. Bye, Atahualpa.
No! By Inti, a dagger in my heart.
Now you play as El Dorado for the rest of the game. First, you and Kelt have to find a place to land, so a quick game of connect the dots is in order. Unfortunately, where you land is more like your own crash site, so you're stuck for a bit. The nearest friendly location is 2 walking days away, so...
After 2 days of marching under a blazing sun,
Kelt leads the great Inca to his old friend Yuna.
Welcome, my lord. How may I help you?
Luckily, Yuna just happens to have a device capable of analyzing any celestial body. How fortunate, because we need to deal with an asteroid. El Dorado helps set it up, and then... well... just watch this.
There, it's done. But what is that for?
This will help us locate the weaker points of the asteroid. Your asteroid is in a rapid evolution phase, during which it stores an enormous amount of energy, and Aguirre can use this energy. To destroy the asteroid, you have to lay down 3 great sources of energy on 3 planets.
El Dorado, the energy of your legendary powers should be sufficient, isn't it?
Yes, I hope. 3 planets. Which ones? When will we know more about this?
In about 2 weeks, if this is all the computer is doing.
And why isn't it already running? That's good.
After some terrible, terrible voice acting, Yuna gives the guys access to a random train just loafing about. El Dorado does some pointing and clicking and gets the train running. Off they go, only to be attacked from above. Kelt does the driving while you keep them away for 3 minutes. This section is probably the only fun you'll have shooting down enemies. They then find a cave and do some rustling around in there. Among the things they find are a bottle of mercury, which El Dorado has wise advice about.
Better not drink it. It might be useful later.
And a safe containing plans for an ancient battle vessel, the Boomerang. Kelt thinks he can build one while the Toomey's being repaired. 2 weeks pass, and Yuna turns around for us. Yuna gives El Dorado the locations of 3 planets on which he must place a special power. He orders Kelt to build an army of boomerangs, to which he responds very creepily.
I am always willing to help, my lord.
After some brief annoying fighting against some of Lord Aguirre's men, including Lord Aguirre himself, he then gives you a choice of going to fight Aguirre and avenging his son, or going about your business to save the Incan Empire. The fighting is pretty brutal, so let's just go to the first planet. El Dorado ends up on an island planet where he discovers human footprints, farts around in an ibis nest, and deals with a snarling monkey. Also, there's suddenly a narrator who gives you sage advice if you click this jade egg too early.
don't be in a hurry, El Dorado.
Actually, I'm kind of in a hurry. We're all about to die, you know? After combining a pearl and a jade egg for some reason, this happens.
The mangrove is a treacherous place. I am its only master. So you want to go through it? Keep the egg and the pearl, they are precious. If you don't have them on your way back, I'll take care of your soul. Ha 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 ha.
That was frightening. And then we have to listen to this guy.
Hey, I was expecting you. I read of your coming in the magic smoke. I know that you want to lay down a power on my island. I think I can help you. First, I'd like you to give back to the crocodile what the local demon stole from him. The breath of life.
Could you speak up, good sir? I don't think we could hear you quite well enough.
The breath of life.
Okay, if that's how it's gonna be, alright. So I put a couple of things back in the crocodile's eye sockets. He makes a noise that would frighten most children. And then the island guy has a bit more to say. He now considers me a pure soul, which is great, but...
Close your eyes, and you will follow me into a trance.
We go into a trance, and after some planting of spears and silver calabash chopping, El Dorado releases the first power. We're released from our trance, and that island guy acts really weird.
About your return to the Toomey, don't worry about a thing, my friend. The crocodile settled an old dispute with the demon of the mangrove. He had a grudge against him.
Off to the second planet. But first, more space fighting. Huzzah! You can also choose to take on a major assault on your own, but believe me, it's not worth the trouble. El Dorado lands on a desert planet, specifically the Valley of the Three Dreams. He finds some Canadian guy buried under beams, but instead of rescuing him, you have to find the Venerable One. First, you have to figure out how to climb the cliffs, which involves plenty of pointing and clicking, and then you have to deal with more horrible voice acting.
Welcome, noble soldier. Be prepared. I am taking you to your destination.
But we need to pray first and get the gods' help. You have to determine which of the 10 prayers is the best. It makes no sense, so grab a walkthrough and pick pipes 2, 4, and 7. El Dorado is transported to some weird land. You make a shield out of melted metal. You build a gong in an icy section, melt some icicles, pour the water into a mystic funnel, and then set the second power. Great! Only one more convoluted power to set. The last fighting section is here, and it's impressively challenging given your terrible controls and limited ammo. You can't even rapid fire your normal shot because it burns out so quickly, so you have to wait while your ship gets toasted. Nicely toasted. I swear I spent 2 hours just on this. What a pain. No, seriously, what a pain. Somehow you make it through Aguirre's army, much to his dismay.
That's impossible. This demon succeeded in forcing his way through.
And end up on the asteroid. You find a dead guy laying around, so naturally El Dorado steals from him. But then he disappears, so it's all good. He foosters around inside the asteroid some more as some very, very smooth jazz plays. And suddenly he frees his captured wife. Never thought we'd hear from her again. She tells him to keep going and unleash the last power. Okay. And then this ridiculous, awful, long-winded maze from the pits of the underworld. If you have no idea where you're going, you could be lost for hours because every hallway looks exactly the same and ends exactly the same way, with a fork in the road. But if you're well prepared, game facts, then you'll know that you have to find the room of statues, grab a diamond, go to the room of mirrors, cut a mirror with a diamond, take the glass shard, go to the room of pictures, use the shard to slice open a picture of your dead son.
I knew, my son, that your spirit would continue to help me in my quest.
Take a magically appearing music box, go back to the room of statues, use the music box on a statue, click on the rock of light, and be transported to... a first-year college 3D modeling project. Actually, it's all flowers. Flowers. What you need to do is open a flower, use the rock of light to see its true colors, grab its pollen, and then drop the pollen into a flower with different colored petals so it becomes a two-tone. Then do the same the second time so you can have a flower of 3 colors. Then El Dorado puts down the last power. Something super weird happens, and then the asteroid kinda does this. A paragraph that makes no sense in relation to the rest of the game emerges, and... the credits! That's it? Garbage! Absolute garbage! And that's Inca too. This game was a part of my childhood growing up. I never actually finished it as a child. It wasn't until this video that I actually made it to the end. And I never want to play it again. That's it, I'm done.
Thank you for watching this episode of Retro Hype. Hope you had a good time floating through history. Please like this video and subscribe because you know what? It really helps the channel out.